This weekend, we had Ricky Skaggs on the show last week, and he was doing the big bluegrass concert down at the Birchmere in Virginia this weekend, and so I went to see him, and I was backstage before the show visiting with him and catching up with Rick, and then when it got time to go out and get ready for the concert, the guy said, "Here, I'll show you where you're sitting, Mr. Wilson," because I was sitting as a guest of Ricky, and they take me to Ricky's table, and as I walk up, they said, "Oh, by the way, do you know the person sitting here? Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Antonin Scalia."
Oh, wow.
I'm not kidding. I walk up, and there is Antonin Scalia. I couldn't have been more surprised, and I couldn't have been more pleased, because I've always quite admired the man. He's there with his lovely wife, Maureen. It turns out Maureen is a huge bluegrass and country music fan.
Oh, wow.
And he made sure that Maureen got to go and brought her there because he wanted her to have a great... He said, "I like it, but she loves it." And people would occasionally walk up and say, "Brian, how are you? Good to see you. Love listening to your radio show." I didn't even recognize the guy sitting next to me.
The Supreme Court Justice Scalia.
He had come in with a cowboy hat, and he had come wearing a little bolo.
Antonin Scalia was wearing a cowboy hat.
Well, he wasn't wearing it in, but he brought it with him, and it was a nice-looking Stetson.
I would just think he would wear the robe everywhere. Yeah. If I were a justice, I'd wear the black robe everywhere.
Of course that.
I'm a justice.
And so anyway, as I said, "Hello, Mr. Justice Scalia. I'm Brian Wilson." He said, "You don't have to tell me who you are, because my wife and I listen to your program every morning."
Whoa.
Yeah, no kidding. How about that?
Hang on a minute.
Not only is Washington the place where people come to talk, it's where really important people come to listen.
That's right here on WMAL. So what you're telling me is, if I remember right, about an hour ago, I was discussing in great detail the incredible cleavage on all of the Hollywood actresses on the Golden Globes last night.
And there was a good chance that a member of the Supreme Court was listening.
Well, that changes everything for me. You know how you're supposed to think of your audience wearing their underwear or something? Now, it's just bad. Oh, geez. Thanks for ruining my life, Brian
Well,
Wilson.
let me tell you, of course, the first instinct was, I'm sitting next to an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court. Wow, there's got to be something I could ask him.
Right, you're a journalist.
But you know what? I just decided not to do that. I just decided not to go there. You know what we talked about mostly?
Yeah.
Music.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we talked about music,
cool.
and he was asking, because I know a little bit about guitars. I was talking about guitars, and he was asking me questions about the guitars that were on the stage. So we talked about that. Turns out he said, "I've always wanted to learn to play the acoustic guitar."
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought that was pretty interesting. And he said, incidentally, that I just mentioned it, that he, as a young man, used to play the piano. And I didn't know that about Antonin Scalia.
He and Condoleezza Rice could do some sort of like a classical duet,
well,
perhaps.
that would be worth it. I'd pay good money to see that.
That would be a fundraiser. Hold on.
Yeah.
Well, you have incredible discipline. how could you not? At some point, I would just have to turn to him and say, seriously, what the hell was John Roberts thinking with the Obamacare decision?
I wanted to. I really did. But I always respect the fact that I understand he can't really say anything. And look, I didn't want him to feel like he had to be on guard because I was a guy who has a radio show. Well, let me just tell you, delightful to meet them, delightful company. His wife, absolutely charming to the nth degree, and I couldn't tell you how much I enjoyed getting to meet Associate Justice of the Supreme Court Antonin Scalia and his lovely wife Maureen.
And Brian Wilson is the respectable one of the pair here. I'm I'm the weasel. So may I just take this opportunity to say, Justice Scalia, I know you're listening. Antonin, Tony, please, the door is open.
Yeah.
Come on in. Well, we would have a great hour. You'd have the whole hour with us. We'll sit here in studio, and I promise you we will not ask you about anything having to do with politics or the law. We're going to talk music the whole time.
We'll talk music, that's right. I did tell him that if he ever wanted to come on, I was pretty sure I could clear the deck to make that happen.
Hey, this is him, by the way. He sent you his own garage tape, right? This is...
I may look like
No, that's Ricky. By the way, Ricky and the boys.
Did they burn it up?
Oh, man, did they kick some butt. It was awesome. 7:44 on WMAL.